Okay. Hello, Stephanie. My name is Christina Viera. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So I just want to go over some confidentiality with you. Um, so whatever we discuss and talk about is completely confidential between us.
Oh, okay.
However, I am a mandated reporter, so if there's any instances where you do mention self-harm or harming of others, unfortunately this is something that I'm obligated to report.
Okay.
Also, if you get into any legal issues and your documents are subpoenaed, I will have to turn that over as well.
Okay.
So if you're in full agreement with this and want to continue therapy, then all I need is your okay.
Okay.
Okay, great. So why don't you tell me what brings you in today? What do you want to talk about? What's going on?
Okay. So, I came to see you because I needed to let out my emotional baggage. And when I say baggage, what I mean by that is I'm in a relationship. I've been in this relationship for 3 years. But I find that I have been struggling lately with trust issues with my partner. And I think I've been struggling with trust issues with my partner because I noticed that, like, everywhere he goes, when we first started dating, he would leave his phone with no problem. And then when we moved in together, everywhere he goes, he takes his phone. If he has to pee, he takes his phone. If he's cooking dinner, he doesn't leave it laying down anywhere. So that's one red flag. That's a difference that I notice. And then also, like, he at times would take calls in the hallway or something like that when he thinks I'm sleeping or when he thinks I'm not paying attention. And I'm starting to develop trust issues. Whenever I confront him about it, he says I'm crazy. He's not doing anything. And it just reminds me of my very first serious relationship that I was in. And the same patterns that he's doing is the same thing that a previous boyfriend did. My first love. And I don't know, like, I'm just kind of like struggling with that. Like, I don't want to accuse him of things that he may not be doing. But at the same time, I'm just kind of like, how do I handle this? Like, I don't know. I don't feel great about it.
Okay. Well, why don't you tell me more about your ex-boyfriend and what that relationship was like? I know you mentioned that there's some similarities, but tell me more about your ex-boyfriend.
Okay. So me and my ex-boyfriend, we dated for around 6 years. And the first half of that relationship was great. We did everything together. We never had trust issues. I had the password to his phone and vice versa. And then going toward the second half of our 6 year relationship, things shifted. And my guess is, I know that there were times when he's told me that he wanted to have a child. And that's something that I personally was not ready for reasons like, that's just something I wasn't ready for. So I noticed that little by little he started drifting away. Staying out later. We're not really seeing each other as much, or we're not really talking as much. And you know how it is sometimes when you're in a relationship, it's just kind of like the further you see that person drifting away, the tighter you try to put your hold on them. And I, like, a year after that, found out that he was cheating on me. And there were times when I honestly can say that I decided to turn a blind eye to it because I didn't want to leave him. He was my first love. I didn't want to be without him. And I left him. So I turned a blind eye to his cheating, which I probably shouldn't have did. And that resorted to him eventually getting somebody pregnant, and he fell in love with this woman. And watching the person you love fall in love with somebody else has got to be like one of the worst feelings on earth. And ever since then, like, I've always had trust issues, but I try not to bring them into new relationships because that's not a good way to start. But I just feel like the minute I see or get that gut feeling that something is off, then it's like I go right back into these emotions where I don't know what to do, and I'm losing sleep, and I'm starting to have anxiety.
Okay, so it sounds like you're having some trust issues in your current relationship because of what has happened in your previous relationship.
Yeah.
You mentioned that this was a 6-year-long relationship, and halfway through, your ex-boyfriend was talking about having children, and you were not ready for this commitment, and so you started to see some detachment on his end, and so he started to drift off and meet other women behind your back, and eventually got a girl pregnant, and then even fell in love with her.
Yes.
So you did mention that I can only imagine what it must feel like to witness somebody falling in love with someone else.
Right.
Can you go a little bit deeper for me? Tell me exactly how did that feel for you?
So, when I found out that he had gotten somebody else pregnant, my immediate reaction was devastation. I was devastated because I just felt like, how could you just portray me in such a way? How could you toss our relationship to the side, you know? And for this woman who I'm guessing at the time he felt like was the better option. And you know, I was a wreck. I was sad. I was very depressed. There was even a point in time where I lost a drastic amount of weight. I wouldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. And, you know, I just feel like sometimes if you don't give a man what he wants, he will find it in another place. And I'm afraid of that cycle happening again, you know? So I don't know. I never fully recovered from that. And I'm trying my best to not have trust issues, but they're still there and they're still lingering. And I never learned how to handle that situation. I just kind of like found out, we broke up, and I moved on. And after that relationship, I was single for about 3 years until somebody came along, and then, you know, we started dating.
So I want to go back to the feeling for a second. So it must have felt like your world was like crashing, like flipped upside down when you found out that he got another girl pregnant.
Of course.
And I'm assuming it's because, I mean, well, one, you loved him. You saw a future with him.
Yes.
And you felt very betrayed. This is someone that you loved and cared for, and you thought he did the same. And I'm sure he did. Maybe, maybe not, right?
Maybe not.
But it must be really hard to trust people going forward, having a man that you love so deeply betray you like that.
Of course. And it's so interesting because he didn't necessarily like tell me right off the bat, like, oh, like I'm having a child with another woman. I found out, which I think was the worst part ever. I found out through someone else, through a family member of mine. And when I confronted him, he just kept lying to me and saying, like, it's not true. You're crazy. It's not true. I would never cheat on you. Excuse me. And come to find out, it was true. He had a child with another woman that wasn't me. And I guess like I also felt devastated because it was just like, it's not like I said like, no, I don't want to have children. The what I said to him, I said, why don't we wait until we're more financially stable, until we're, you know, living together, until I'm done in college with my bachelor's degree. Let's wait, you know? And he didn't want to wait.
I know you mentioned that, like, sometimes when a man doesn't get his way, a woman has to deal with some sort of repercussion for it, sort of like you've experienced,
yes.
Right? Why don't you tell me a little bit more about what did you hope for? What did you, matter of fact, actually, why don't you tell me about what made you continue to stay in the relationship regardless of being able to identify a red flag of him pulling away from you? What did you want? What did you expect?
I stood in a relationship because I was expecting us to one day get married. If we were together for 6 years, I would expect that anything after that, we would be able to take the first step and get an apartment together or get a home together. And then from there, maybe proposal would come in, and then we could start a family. I never denied him of any of those things. I just would have preferred for us to wait until we were in a better situation. And I was just hoping to have the fairy tale, to stay with the person that I spent 6 years of my life with, to bear this person's children. And when that didn't happen, all because I don't even know if it didn't happen because he wanted a child and couldn't wait, or I feel like he was just cheating all along and this woman happened to get pregnant. So I don't necessarily think that he went and just said, hey, like, my girlfriend doesn't want to have a baby, so let's have a baby. Like, I think it happened. I don't think it meant to happen, but I think he didn't mind because he found something in this woman, maybe that he didn't find in me, maybe, you know, and maybe that's why he fell in love with her. But I wanted the happy home. I wanted the happy family. I just wanted us to be financially okay first before we made such drastic measures.
That was like your main concern.
Yeah.
And so when he wasn't even willing or open to compromising and basically made his own decision to go do and get what he wanted, right? It must have made you feel as though the relationship is very one-sided. You felt unheard. You felt not considered of your own feelings. So, and now your current boyfriend is sort of dealing with the repercussions of what you've experienced in the past.
Yes.
Is this something that you've expressed to your current boyfriend, that because of what you've dealt with, that this may, like, did you bring this conversation up with him and tell him how you're feeling?
He knows what I went through in my previous relationship, but I've never really sat down and, like, had the conversation with him, like, when you do this, this, and this, it makes me feel this, this, and this, and it reminds me of my old relationship, and that's why I'm starting to have trust issues. I never really sat down and, like, had that conversation with him. Maybe I should. But but I just feel like because there's a shift, that shift it's scaring me. I want to know why that shift is. Like, what happened? Like, why are you acting
the same shift you've experienced from your ex-boyfriend?
Yes. Like, why are you creeping around on telephone calls, and why are you, you know, everywhere you go, even if you go if your phone is there on the couch and you have to go use the bathroom, you have to take your phone with you. Like what is that about? Like, you never used to do that. So why is it now that we're living together, you do that? Like, I don't understand what that's about. And the only thing that I could think is you have something to hide. Prior to us living together, I wasn't around you 24/7. So there was no need for you to do that. Now that we're around each other 24/7, you might be afraid a text message might come through or a phone call might come through. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm being paranoid or looking too much into it, but something's creepy.
Well, I mean, your feelings are definitely valid given what you've experienced in the past. Mm-hmm. And I think that, you know, although is there some sort of apprehension about having this conversation with him? Because you don't, I don't want to speak for you, but is there some sort of apprehension because you're afraid of disappointing him, and the same way you've experienced with your ex-boyfriend, mm-hmm. telling you you're crazy, mm-hmm. no, you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, you are. Mm-hmm. I have been apprehensive about having this conversation with him because I don't want to hear those words like, oh, you're crazy, or I'm not doing something, mm-hmm. or anything like that. And then I turn around and find out that you are doing something, that everything I thought was true, mm-hmm. and that I'm not crazy, because then I just might go crazy. So I'm apprehensive, and I'm trying to find a different way to release how I feel, mm-hmm. and trying to find the best positive route to go, mm-hmm. as opposed to telling him how I feel. He's, gonna say how what he thinks based off what I tell him, and then he might be even more on guard, like, oh, well, I noticed she noticed these things. She's watching me. So he might try to clean up what he's doing. And I don't want him to clean it up. I want you to be messy so you could get caught. That's just...
So you're afraid of even having this conversation. Mm-hmm. If he is doing something, then he's going to tidy up.
Yes.
And make it even, like, more clean for him. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So you want to remain... like with your eyes open,
yes,
and make sure you're not missing anything.
Yes.
Okay, you don't want to give him any warning signs that I'm aware.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
mm-hmm.
got it.
Mm-hmm.
So how does it make you feel when your ex-boyfriend, although you were accurate in your assumptions, how did it make you feel that he gaslighted you and told you, no, you're crazy, you're making things up?
Mm-hmm. I felt it made me second guess myself. It made me really think, like, am I crazy? Mm-hmm. Am I really, thinking these things in my head, but they're not really true? I mean, hearing you're crazy so many times, you'd kind of start to believe it, and I personally don't think I'm crazy. I personally don't think that I'm, like, imagining these things. Mm-hmm. I think that there are trust issues that I do have, but I feel like for the right reasons. And I feel like I'm not the type to just accuse someone like, oh, you're just out doing whatever, if I don't have...
You have valid reasons.
If I don't have valid reasons, mm-hmm. as to why I'm saying what I'm saying.
Right.
So... I don't know. I just feel like the whole situation doesn't make me feel good, and I'm afraid to go back into that, like, depressed state where I suffered with an anxiety, really bad anxiety, if I do find out that he is doing something that he's not supposed to be doing.
So part of you is also avoiding it.
Yes.
Because you don't want to be right again.
Yeah, I'm avoiding it the same way I avoided it in my previous relationship. Right. And... It's not the healthiest thing, but I don't know what to do. So I don't know.
Well, can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
This is a technique called the empty chair technique.
Okay.
And basically what I'm going to have you do is, I'm going to pull up an empty chair. Mm-hmm. And you are going to pretend mm-hmm. that your ex-boyfriend is sitting here.
Okay.
And I say this because you may have some unresolved feelings around your relationship with your ex-boyfriend. I'm not necessarily saying you may still have feelings for him. I'm saying you may have not fully processed what happened in your relationship, how it ended, why it ended. And so I think it's important to sort of have a conversation with your ex-boyfriend and tell him exactly what you want to tell him, how he made you feel.
Okay.
Anything that you feel that was maybe that you couldn't say to him, or unresolved feelings.
And you said this is called the empty chair method.
Empty chair technique, yes. So talk to your ex-boyfriend and tell him how he made you feel of what he did to you when he betrayed you.
So, hello, person. The first question I would want to ask you is, why did you cheat? Why couldn't you wait for us to be in a better situation financially, to have a child? Why did you have to go and cheat on me and make a child with someone else? What made you want to cheat? This woman, what was it about her that you fell in love with her? I am just at a loss for words with that one. Why? Because she's not the first person that you cheated on me with, and I know that. So I want to know, like, what made you cheat with these other women? What was it about? What weren't you happy with at home that you felt the need to go out and step out on me? I want to know. I'd like to know why. I want to know if you ever felt guilty at any point when you cheated on me and you broke my heart. Did you ever feel guilty at the fact that you got someone else pregnant? How did it feel when you found out she cheated on you? I want to know. I have so many whys. Like, I don't understand what your reasoning was behind a lot of the things that you did and the way that you treated me. I feel like I was loyal. I feel like I respected you as a person, as a man, as a human being. And if you felt like you wanted to see other women, why you couldn't just tell me, you wanted us to break up? I personally and I honestly feel like I would have respected that a lot more, and maybe we could have even remained friends, than you stepping out on me and creating this whole other family behind my back and just left me to pick up the pieces of my life while you ran off into the sunset and was all happy with your little family. Like, I just don't understand what that was about. And it scarred me. The person that I was prior to meeting you, and then the person that I became during you, is forever. I'm not the same person anymore, even now to this day. Some of the very same things that you put me through is affecting every single relationship that I've been in after you. And I don't know.
Tell him how he hurt you.
You broke me. You are my first love. You are everything to me. I literally thought that we were going to be together forever. And you broke my heart. And ever since then, I've never looked at people the same. I've never trusted people the same way. I've never loved the same way. And you have a lot of the blame for that. I don't know how you can, do these type of things to people and then sleep good at night. Like, I don't understand.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna stop right there with the empty chair technique. So you did really good.
Thank you.
So just to sort of recap about what we spoke about, you're in a current relationship with your boyfriend whom it's been going good until you moved in with him, where you started picking up on these red flags because you started seeing him take his phone every single place that he goes, even if it's to use a bathroom. It's raising some some curiosity on your end due
Definitely.
to what you've experienced with your ex-boyfriend. Your ex-boyfriend, you guys had a wonderful relationship until you started seeing a red flag as well. You saw a detachment, you saw a change in his behavior, and so it's making you feel a little bit unsure about whether your current boyfriend is cheating on you or not.
Yes.
At the same time, you don't want to have this conversation with him because you also want to be on your P's and Q's. You want to make sure that you're not going to miss anything.
Right.
Because you don't want to give him a heads up, essentially. But at the same time, I'm sorry, where's my train of thought? At the same time, you're really struggling with this. You know, you don't want to experience when your ex-boyfriend said you're crazy, you're wrong, gaslighting you. That's another reason why you also want to avoid telling your current boyfriend what you're dealing with and how you're feeling. I do think that it's a good thing that you had a conversation with your ex-boyfriend, and I think that I kind of want to talk more about really resolving your past relationship with your ex-boyfriend, and then eventually working up maybe some sort of possibility of working up towards having this conversation and figuring out what's the best approach without making your current boyfriend feel as though you do mistrust him.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I understand.
So it was really nice meeting you, and I look forward to seeing you again.
So do I. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.